Welcome to Shift and Stare. We're back. Yeah, we told you we'd be back. You thought it was a threat, but it was a promise. And I'm with Matt and Aaron, as always.
Hello.
Hey, guys. How we doing?
Good. No guest today?
No guest today. We're the guests.
Today.
Let's jump right into it.
Should I go find one?
We got a lot to talk about today. Not a lot happening, but a lot to talk about. And the first thing I want to talk about is who helps us get this show going every week. There's a phone call. That must be a guy.
That guy. He's calling saying, "You never tell me that."
You know, I mute my phone. I turn the volume down, and the Mac computers, they transfer it to the phone, and it starts ringing. I put it on airplane mode, and it still does it. So I don't know what the deal.
I'm just looking for that little red record button in the corner.
It's going, man. It's going. Hey, who's helping us get this show out today, Matt?
Yeah, that's a good question, Brad. Probably Geico.
I know it's Geico. But they have a certain thing they want you to say. It's called an ad read, and it's really good.
Yeah. I was like, what are you talking about? Who helps us with this show? And I was like, oh, yeah, we have an ad. Oh, man, you guys know that right now Geico is offering an extra 15% on car, motorcycle, and RV policies. That's 15% on top of the money Geico could already be saving you, Aaron. So what are you waiting for, Aaron? So if you guys want to save an extra 15%, switch by October 7th. Visit geico.com for more information. Again, that's geico.com.
And trust me, everyone, you want insurance because you heard about the accident at my house. Well, this week, I was happy to say that I finally settled up with my insurance company. And what I didn't tell everyone, because I was in the midst of it, was that my beautiful boat was totaled in that accident. And
the boat we talked about, and then you finally went down to the lake, picked it up, went through,
put all new tires
13,
on it.
maybe 13 rounds of tires on the way home, something like that, and got it home, got it cleaned up, parked it in the driveway in the trailer, and somebody smashed their Tacoma into it.
Dude,
I mean, I don't have to sell it.
Yeah, no, I don't. No, I don't have to sell it. So
as long as you can, hey, you probably would have got just as little selling it.
No, actually,
I hope you did well on it because I know that was an argument. So
I will say that my insurance company was tremendous, and I won't say it in honor who my insurance company is, just because I'm honoring our sponsor. But my insurance company was tremendous, and
way to say it wasn't Geico.
Not to say they wouldn't have been tremendous.
I had specialty insurance on it, and they really came to the table. Let's just say that. And gave me full value and recognized all the custom options and the special things. And the fact also, they actually even realized that right now with COVID, that boats are at the top of their resale value.
They are,
And so they were pretty good. We argued a little, and I thought for a minute that it was going to go the other way, but they came to the table, and I can't say enough about them.
So Brad, since this is out here and this is done and nobody's listening, are you able to salvage anything like that engine?
I'm hoping to. I'm hoping to purchase that.
Because it's got the badass Paul Foff engine in it.
That's a full roller motor. It's 696 cubic inch. So I'm hoping to salvage that back because it only has 100 hours on it. So hopefully I can salvage that back. And that's the next discussion phone call we're going to have as soon as the check gets here.
Yeah. I've got a question for you too. So someone sent me on social media this really, really cool 12-cylinder marine motor. Mm-hmm. So I think it was an inline or something. It's just this badass looking motor. And I went, it's a marine motor. I mean, marine motors are specifically designed as marine motors. Can you convert them, or is it a cam? I would think
there's saltwater and freshwater.
Yeah.
Oh, there's two different motors. See, I'm not a boat guy. Not a boat guy.
And there's
so
also
Brad has a freshwater motor, so his is basically just a big block Chevy engine, nothing
with
super
different headers on it.
Yeah, it's where it circulates the air, the water.
The water,
through the motor,
right.
and
Right,
it comes
right.
out.
So it's got a jacket on the outside.
What's that?
So it's got a jacket system on the outside through the headers and stuff, right?
Right. It goes through the exhaust. Yep.
So a saltwater motor's different, Matt?
Yes.
Yeah, they're different animals. Plus, you have the possibility of internal corrosion and all kinds of stuff.
Yes, like Brad's boat, which is a freshwater lake boat, you would never put that in the ocean.
Right.
It's just not. It's not prepped for it, right?
Right.
Now, what is kind of interesting is Mercury Marine that makes race boat engines, and Mercury Racing. They have all the high output racing engines. All in the cigarette boats, and they have some really killer outboards. They make their own engine now. They make like a 4-valve overhead cam twin turbo saltwater racing boat engine, like whatever. It's an expensive deal, but they offer that as an automotive crate engine, and it's popped up at SEMA a few years. And if you guys have seen it, you walk over and you're like, this is a badass engine, and you realize it's a 4-valve overhead cam big block with twin turbos that puts out like 1,300 horsepower. It's a badass. They do offer a street crate engine version for it. So there is some way to, yes, you can take that engine. It's still largely based off of like an LS block or whatever. They're doing their own heads and stuff, but the cooling system and all the anti-corrosion stuff and whatever, you don't need that for the race, for the street engine. So
I would think they'd be pretty different, because boats have completely different demands. They're running, I would think, different RPMs, in different applications.
Well, so yes, you would cam it differently and you would tune it differently, right? So you can do all that revving up and down on the street versus the boat, where you get kind of a cruising speed and you're just kind of going, you do
a lot with trim and like that on the boat, where in the car you got different loads.
I should pass on that 12 cylinder is what you're saying?
It'd be a badass coffee table.
Yeah, be a great coffee table. It'd be hard to fit it in anything. Especially if it's an inline, it'd be like an airplane. And they did use a lot of airplane motors back in the day in those older speedboats. Like Bruce Meyer had that speedboat at his place, and it's got that old airplane 12-cylinder motor in it.
I don't know much about them, but it seems like it would make sense, because it would just cruise at whatever 4,000 RPM all day long, like in a plane, like you would in the boat. So
speaking of which, if anybody out there knows of a small radial engine, my buddy just bought a Morgan 3-wheeler and he wants to put a small radial engine in it. You can get new ones and they're just crazy expensive, but if anybody knows of one that's like close to running or doesn't need a complete rebuild, let us know.
Now there's got to be like fake versions of it too, right? There's like probably like a 1-cylinder, almost like Harley engine, and then the ones around it are all fake. Or it's
funny, I was wondering that too, because with the Morgan, how high would the engine have to be to make, because it's radial? I'm wondering if there's like a one with a couple pies a pie chunk out of it. So like the bottom plane is flat, the pistons go this way, this way, this way, this way. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cylinder or something, because they're all odd, I guess. But it's like something like that. Otherwise, it's going to be dragging on the ground. That's a lot of pipes.
It is. Yeah. I just try to see over it.
Hey, Borla. Hey, MagnaFlow. Can I get a 9-cylinder configuration built from you?
I'm going to finish up about the boat and just say I am going to miss my time on the lakes, because the one thing that I found out about a boat versus a car is that there's no speed limits. I mentioned it before, and I'd be able to get out there to 105 in my boat and just be on plane with a big rooster tail behind it. And it was just so much fun, But what I really would like to do someday, guys, is the one thing I've never had the opportunity to do that I really want to do is take one of those cigarette boats. I'm talking one of the super long offshore power boats.
The Miami boat? You take the Miami boat?
And go into the Keys, out into the Keys where it's just that azure blue water and go down to the Keys and just, you know, I just think that would be so much fun, you know? Because like my boat at Havasu, as big as that lake is, coming up from the dam, you could get it up and get going. But out in the ocean like that, you get that, you know, that just kind of.
I haven't been out on the ocean, but a buddy of mine, Mike Winkle, had one up here on the lake. And he said, hey, we're going to come get you on the South Shore and we'll go to dinner on the North Shore and then buzz back. You know, it's like 20 minutes each way, normally like 40. And he picks us up in this giant 3 or 4 engine cigarette boat, you know, tall. It was kind of tall. It's an older one. He used to race out in the ocean. And, you know, it was cool, but it was very unsocial because all you did was look at each other and go, because it was so loud.
When you're going fast.
What they don't show you in the movies is the guys wearing big cans and a sound system so they can talk to each other because it was just crazy. But by the time we finished dinner, it was dark. And I'm like, it's dark. Because we had a little boat on a lake for a couple of years and it was great, but I never drove that thing in the dark other than like 4th of July when you could still see out because there's so many other boats. So he's blazing, doing like 65 knots or something, wide open, you know, just, you know, cruising, looking around, you know, in the night. It's pitch black, no moon, you know, nothing. And he had his hat over the GPS. He just lifted up, see where we're going, make an adjustment, put his hat back over it. I'm just looking like, hey, how you doing? You know? And I'm going, we're flying at 60 plus knots in the dark, blind. It's like running through Lake Tahoe. It's like, that's insane.
Yeah, lakes get small really fast in a big, fast boat, you know?
Yeah.
Exactly, you know? And luckily it wasn't a drought, so there were no rocks sticking out of the middle of the lake. But I think we went through $400 or $500 in gas just going to the other side of the lake and back.
Dude, I used to go through $1,000 in fuel because I'd put avgas in it.
Crazy.
Every weekend.
Jeez.
So
that's too extravagant for me, man. But it would be a fun ride out in the ocean.
Oh man,
open.
that is on my bucket list. So if anybody out there has a big cigarette boat that down in the Keys, let me know.
Let's just run to Cuba, you know, have lunch.
Let's talk about the Indy 500.
Yeah.
What do you
think?
What's your impression of the Indy 500?
Indy 500.
I did it once. You know, we used to know the Patrick family really well.
I'm talking about the one that just happened, Aaron, last weekend.
Oh, I was busy last week and I didn't even pay attention. I didn't. Yeah.
You didn't watch it?
No.
Did you watch it, Matt?
I did watch it, and I have some thoughts, but my internet connection is wonky, so I'm going to try to switch to a different network. Hold on. Let's see if it works.
You know, Brett, I totally forgot. You know, I saw it on social media. I've kind of been off social media because, you know, our dog passed away.
Kick me off?
Everybody's posting pictures of their dogs and stuff, and I've kind of been light on social media lately. And I was karting with my son last weekend.
We love our dogs.
Karting with my son last weekend. Oh, thank you.
Oh man.
Yeah, we picked up his ashes yesterday. It was fuck. Anyway, so did you watch Indy? Oh wait, Matt's frozen again.
Matt's frozen. Well, let's talk amongst ourselves. I watched it, and it was so interesting because nobody's in the stands. You know,
wow.
Which at a point you can watch the Indy 500 without anybody in the stands because it's not like a sporting event where you get these, you know, where you get crowd noise and things like that because
cheering and
so that's fine. And it's not like a crowd event where you need to see the fans. However, what was the most disappointing thing about it was, excuse me, it was a boring race, first of all. It really was not an exciting race. And the biggest disappointment was the end. Since you didn't watch it, I'll describe it to you. It comes down, they've got a 4-car race for the finish, and 2 laps to go, a guy hits the wall, or excuse me, 6 laps to go, a guy hits the wall, and they've got to do a yellow light. They should have done a red light, in my opinion. They should have stopped it right there, said, all right, we're going to do this and do a sprint for the finish. They didn't. They finished under yellow, which is always so
Oh, no.
and,
that sucks.
And
Yeah.
it was just.
That's not racing. Hey, Matt, there he is.
I'm sure that Matt feels the same exact way.
It was the rain. The rain just ruined it.
I was mentioning while you were
Hi, guys.
setting your connection.
Hi, Matt.
Welcome back. I was mentioning that I thought it was one of the most boring Indy 500s I've ever.
Yeah, it was. I'm sure, as you were saying, not super exciting. Certainly,
Anticlimactic.
Yeah, with or without the spectators, I don't know that it would have changed much. A couple of crashes. Fortunately, everybody was okay. The ending was unspectacular. They had to end it under a yellow.
They should have laps. They should have stopped it and then done a sprint to the end with 4 cars in contention.
Right. So the reason why they couldn't do that was
COVID.
No, the damage to the track, to the wall that enters the pit where the car hit.
Where the tire barrier with the wrap was, yeah.
Yeah, so they were saying it was going to be about an hour and a half of repair just for them to restart the race. So just for timing and everything else, they just had to end it under a yellow. It wasn't anybody's choice. I'm sure they wanted a sprint and make it exciting, but
I didn't hear that. Yeah, that makes sense.
And it wasn't even really clear. It came out a lot on Twitter as well, and I think Graham Rahal, that we like, friends of the show, he tweeted out, he's like, I know we would love to have sprinted toward the end, but it was an hour and a half repair to the track. We'd have to basically shut down, end the race, TV coverage, everything, or stall. Like, it just wouldn't have worked. It was just too much time. That's why that it had to end under a yellow. But
they could have just parked a truck there. Like one of the ones that have
right?
the freeway with the big thing where when the guys are working.
We could have just wrapped you in bubble wrap and had you stand on the corner,
exactly.
Brad.
A bunch of the corner marshals wrapped in bubble wrap. Standing
that would have been fine.
Everybody could have finished the race on an Xbox. Go virtual.
Just put them up like bowling pins. It'd be fine. Why don't they just tell? Easier than that, you just tell the drivers, don't hit that wall in the last couple of laps.
Yeah, just have the Michelin man over there, with some extra tires. And
if Michelin was a sponsor instead of Goodyear, they could do that.
They could do that. Yeah,
have the Goodyear blimp.
You're right.
Parked over there in the corner.
So Matt,
it was good to see Sato won, and Scott Dixon was in second, Graham Rahal was in third, and Sato races for Rahal Letterman, that team. So that team took first and third, which is exciting for our friend Bobby Rahal and Graham
Double
Rahal.
podium, so. Nice.
Yeah.
Now, congrats, drivers.
I mentioned to Aaron while you were gone, and I said, it's one of the few events that not having a crowd really doesn't make any difference to me, because there's not crowd noise. You want to hear the cars racing. There's, it's not reaction of the crowd. I mean, yes, that does add an element to it and the party going on. But since auto racing is really focused on what's happening on the track, it's not like a sporting event where you see the reaction of the fans and things like that. And so
it's interesting that you mentioned that, because one, I think they also changed the TV coverage a little bit to emphasize more of what's happening on the track and a little less in the stands. I commented earlier on the shows that we did this week, the CarCast shows this week, both with Adam and with Goldberg. I wanted both their opinions. I said, I mostly felt bad about the drivers and the teams because that place is nuts with 250, 300,000 people there. And when you win, there's like 70 people going, woo, you know, like,
hey, good job, man.
It kind of takes it away from them. And then I kind
Bunch
of
of one-handed claps.
I know, right? I brought it up to Goldberg. I said, you know, hey, Bill, you're one of the few guys out there that has performed at a live event, at a WrestleMania with 50, 60,000 people. And you performed this year with no people. And that's an event that relies on its spectators, right? It's such a performance toward the fans. And, you know, he's a sweetheart. He's a sweetheart. He understood it still needed to be on TV, but he was like, the no fan part is basically bullshit. He's like, it's not the same at all. It's super awkward. And you're trying to be like, yeah, I play to the camera and play to the audience. And it's like, it's not there. Like they did a good job and they produced it as best they could, you know, like a WrestleMania event. He goes, but it's not something he has on his list to do again anytime soon without 50,000 people out there, you know, making being performed to. It's just not the same.
Just put up some big screens and just have a virtual audience, you know.
But I mean, especially
otherwise it's got to feel like practice.
The fans really interact in that sport. You know, they get their boos and their cat calls and their, you know, the guys will turn around and go, come on, let's see it. You know, it's amazing.
Fire me up. I'm tired.
One of the things that made me kind of laugh was, they did it as a gesture, but I was kind of like, this kind of sucks, was at the beginning, the pre-race, when they had all the pre-recorded drivers, and they're like, you know, hey, I'm Graham Rahal, and hey, Matt, I'm sitting in your seat. I'm in turn 3. This is where you would have been. You would have seen from. And I thought, you know, they tried to make it like, you know, hey, you know, we're all here anyway. But it was kind of like, you know, thanks a lot, dude. You know, I would have been.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a little bit of a rubbing it in kind of thing. You know, it's just like, yeah,
so
we
not
know
cool.
we're not
turning
there.
it off now. Click.
Well, look, I mentioned to Adam was this is going to go down as one of the most significant, one of the most memorable one Indy 500s because it's going to be the one with no spectators. And then next year, it's going to be one of the most memorable ones because it's going to be the biggest Indy 500 party of all time.
Well, I don't know if you saw the press release today. They're canceling next year because of COVID. They're just getting
ahead of it now. Yeah. They're getting ahead of it now. Yeah. Something tells me that's not going to fly with Roger Penske at all. He will literally pay for the vaccine at this point and make sure everyone walking in has it, but only for people who go to the Indy 500.
Yes.
Because he's
Oh, by the way, guys, I got an email from the National Board of Health. Christmas has been canceled this year due to COVID. So, there's no presents being delivered. Everything's sanitized, and you know it ain't happening.
Santa's a little guy; he can't go out.
Well, you know he obviously can't make presents because his warehouse is shut down, his factory shut down. So sorry kids, it's an extended Halloween this year, so lots of pranks. Actually, and
quite seriously, Halloween is canceled. You know. I mean, they're encouraging people not to trick or treat.
Oh, that's true.
And the national
boy, my joke just became reality. I'm sorry, that really sucks.
Way to go, Aaron. Jeez.
The National Candy Association had encouraged candy manufacturers to get stuff on the shelves now.
My friend just told me.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, did you guys hear about this horrible issue with the new C8 Corvette?
No.
The Frunk. The Frunk. Yeah.
I'm not talking about a German version either. No, they were having the problem with the trunks popping open, and Chevrolet said,
"Oh shit!
This is not a technical thing. This is user error." And they've developed this so advanced and tried to make everything so easy to operate. And as the engineer that came on said, sometimes we make it too easy. And it was a double click of the key fob, opened the front, and it was happening during driving because they had the key fob in their pocket.
Oh, man.
And so they found out. And so what they've done is they've made it double click and then you hold it. So to avoid that. But it so amazes me that you think of all of the, I mean, we all talk to the people from the car companies, the engineers, the designers, and the marketing people, and they go through all of this rigorous testing and all of this real world when they've got these cars, you know, in the spy clothing and they're out on the road. And when something like that happens, it's one of those things where you go, the easiest thing can lead to an issue. I mean, what have you heard about it, Matt?
Well, it was interesting because the Frunks were opening, and GM's first response was, we can fix this through one of our over-the-air software updates.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
And then they came back, they're like, yeah, it didn't work.
Oh, no.
So now you got to bring your cars in. So I don't think it was able to be fixed over the air. Last I heard, I think the cars had to come in, but we'll get clarification on it. But you know, hey, you know what they say? Don't buy the first year.
Yeah. So
you know, on so many new cars.
So speaking
you don't
of that car, I was down at Autolinks looking at some cars in Vallejo, and that place is badass. They had tons of really cool cars, but they had a brand new C8 on the showroom for $124,000, I think they were asking. But it was the neatest color gray. It had like a blue metallic to it, black interior, contrast stitching. That thing is gorgeous in person. Like I remember we saw him at we saw him at Barrett Jackson, I think, years ago when we saw some prototypes or something. But this was like, you know, the first production car I've seen. We've seen two of them in Tahoe on the streets, a white one that we see a couple of times. But in person, it's gorgeous, but it's big. I thought they were small.
Oh,
yeah,
they're
it's definitely
big.
bigger. Our friends at Edmunds, we were talking to Alistair Weaver. He's been on the show here with us. They took delivery of they buy their cars. They don't just get press cars. They buy them for their fleet.
Oh, wow.
And they got a blue C8. They got it with the Z51 handling package and upgraded seats, but not a lot of the crazy wings and carbon fiber. So they got basically like an $85,000 version, and they just threw the money into the performance stuff. And they just had it out at Willow Springs, and like, it's good. The car is just good. I mean,
everybody says they're amazing. Yeah. The plus
it's like 0 to 60,
story,
I don't know, like 3.4 or something like that. And this is before we get to a Z06 or a ZR1 or a hybrid or a 4Cam or any of the hot versions.
Electric, motors, all that they're working on right
there's going to be like a hybrid version and like a hotter. They're talking about possibly like a 4Cam version, or either some sort of naturally or supercharger turbo. There's a couple things being developed for the hotter versions of these cars, but it's already mid threes, 0 to 60, under mid threes.
Yeah, they're gorgeous. Well, my wife saw the white one running around town, and she decides that she really likes it. So that means there's a possibility. Honestly, I would do it. I mean, it looks like a damn Ferrari, it looks like an exotic car. I can't afford a damn Ferrari, but I might be able to swing a payment on this with moving some stuff around. So it's, I would love to take that option and stay American, kind of. But
you should definitely bring the Pinzgauer to the lot and go, I want to trade, just as a joke.
I might be selling the Pinzgauer. I've run out of room. And frankly, I'm in that place now where I took on some projects, and I've got a really small shop, and I'm just out of room. So I think we're going to let the 50. We're going to let the 50 shoebox go. We're going to let the 27 rat rod go. I think I'm going to let the Pinzgauer go. I just don't drive it. I love it because it's so unique and so unusual, but I can't really just afford to just collect, you know, and that's not something that should sit.
Say Pinzgauer on shift and steer anymore.
I know it's killing me, and I might let my little Triumph TR3 go because, you know, between the Morgan, the Mini Cooper, I'm not driving it either. So I always say to myself, if I don't drive something in a year, if something sits for a year and I don't drive it, I should consider not keeping it. I'm that guy. So,
wait,
you know.
You mean if you don't drive it and it's drivable? Because we've all got projects that are not drivable.
All my stuff is drivable. All my stuff. I mean, the Isettas aren't, but
we didn't say pushable. We said drivable.
Yeah. No, drivable under its own power. The 914, I'm taking down on Monday to my buddy, and we're going to rebuild the injectors. It's now a father-son car, officially announced. So Finn's going to take it on, and we're going to get the injectors done. I just don't have the time. I've been promising him, and I don't like to make promises to my son and not fulfill them within a timely manner. So it's time to have someone else help us on it. but that and the Isettas are the only thing in my yard that don't run. Everything else runs and drives on its own power.
Is Finn going to drive the 914?
Yeah. So he is really excited. You know, he's 18. He's moved in with us a couple months ago out of his mom's place in SoCal. And we're going karting again this weekend and just having a ball. And we got a couple bikes. We're going to be motorcycling and doing some ADV work as soon as he gets his permit. And life is good. I have a sidekick and a buddy now to hey, hold this.
But I think it's great though, because you're such an enthusiast of all of this. As you're teaching Finn all of this stuff, like get him in the karts, get him to the driving school, get him on the motorcycle classes. Yeah. Don't just throw a kid a license and go, hey, good luck with whatever they taught you in high school or Grand Theft Auto or whatever. Like if he can learn to control a car fast on a track, he's going to be a safer driver on the street, right? It's about what other people are doing, a little less about what you're doing. And if you're going to put him in a 914, he's going to need to be as safe driver as possible. Right?
Exactly. And that's a very good point, Matt, is that, you know, we are experienced drivers and we're experienced owners and collectors and restorers and customizers. So we've got a lot of history in our collections. And when you have a teenager growing up in that and they haven't experienced it yet, you know, like Finn really hasn't, because he got his driver's license a little late. You know, things are a little different in LA. His life was a little different in LA. So when he came here, he's got a lot of catching up to do. And like I told my wife, you know, a lot of these cars are difficult to drive, you know, whether they have mechanical challenges because, you know, the steering box is a little loose or you got to pump the brakes, you know, they're old cars. They're from the 50s, 40s, 50s, and 60s. Some are even in the 20s. So, you know, you kind of got to be an experienced driver to really drive them safely, even in a small town with low demands. I always talk about that too. Whereas speed limit's 40, you know, you need a little room to stop. But, you know, so we got to get Finn up to speed. And I want him to have all the other education he can outside of at home, so that when he gets in these cars, he has a little more under his belt of understanding. You don't drive these cars fast, Finn. You drive those cars fast, and you drive them on the track fast. And I'm hoping that, like us, when you spend track time fast, you spend less street time fast. You know
what you're saying is true, not just to kids, but adults as well, because I know a lot of guys who go out and buy a muscle car for the first time, or a vintage Porsche or something like that. And if they've never driven those type of cars, they don't realize how much the new cars do for you. You have to think ahead and anticipate, and from braking to steering to everything, and people don't understand that. It's a big difference.
You got to do your safety checks too, folks, on these old cars and bikes. Yeah. I mean, new cars you should too, but generally there's less to worry about. On old cars, man, everything counts. Your fluid levels, your tire pressure, your brake wear, your electrical, everything counts,
I remember being 16, 17, driving a 65 Mustang that my brother and I restored, but did the full restoration, no mods on it, drum brakes and everything. And in South Florida, the drum brakes will fill up with water when it rains, and good luck trying to stop, so you're right, Aaron, you really have to anticipate what's going on. You have to start getting on those brakes and feeling what's going on just to see if you're going to, stop enough for that intersection. And for a short period of time, my brother and I had, it was like a trade we had for like a couple of months. We had a T-bucket, and what a piece of shit.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Oh, it was just, it was bouncing around, and it was just like, I felt like half of it was made of wood, and just trying to get that thing
if
down
it was
the
a
street.
kid, it probably was.
I mean, what a hunk of garbage. And I don't know, it was one of these things that was like, we traded, I don't know, a nitrous kit for this, and then that eventually got traded for like a pair of cylinder heads or whatever. Like, it was just all, what we were doing back in the day. But I remember driving that thing around for a little while. Just, I think that was just the one where Mom was like, I don't know what that piece of shit is, but get it out of my driveway. I was like, yeah, Mom, it's unsafe. She's like, it's an eyesore. I was like, but it's also unsafe, Mom, right? She's like, it's an eyesore. I was like, thank you for your concern of our safety.
Well, it's really funny too, because it makes you kind of reevaluate the way you drive, because we have to be an example. I've been driving that little Paceman Mini Cooper around. It's got 70,000 miles on it. I can't believe that. But, we're driving on winter tires because we don't drive it out of town much. And so it's still got Blizzaks. And, it's like, it's real weird because like when you're in a corner and you hit a little bump, it kind of gets a little squirrel to it, because the camber, you just can't get more positive camber out of it, because they're kind of towed. And so now that Finn's been driving it, he wore through those those tires on 2 trips back home to LA. And then the wheel bearings started to go whoop, 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 whoop. I'm like, what the hell? Because it's really funny when, it's like when you sell a car and the new owner goes, dude, this car's falling apart. You're like, well, you're driving it differently. Finn's driving it differently. And so I started really thinking about that. And I went, I got to get that thing handling, better and let's get everything done. So I just took it down to my friend Colby at his Muffler Tech. And we put lowering springs on it, new wheels and tires, and then redid all the brakes and new bearings. The hubs are cheap, all that stuff is cheap. I just haven't gotten around to doing it. So for his safety, we went and had it all done. We're waiting for tires and the wheels to come in.
Get a good alignment.
And a much better alignment. And I got the adjustable lower control arms. So now we can get that negative camber down. And get that thing dialed in so the back end doesn't wiggle around when you're in a corner. Because I want him to be able to drive it like a teenager does, because as much as we'd like them to drive safely, they're a bit spirited.
Well, it's part of the learning process, and they push themselves. I mean, I think it scares the hell out of me now when I think I went 120 miles an hour back in high school in a Chevelle that had drum brakes all the way around and bias ply tires. Everything of it. Oh yeah, man, let's see how fast we can go.
I used to go out on Mount Tam during foggy mornings because the roads were slick under all the trees, and I used to take my 58 Alfa Romeo with Pirelli P3s, which are almost bicycle tires, and try to get as sideways as I could around all the corners with a video camera, literally duct taped to the back seat or to the back of the front seats in the Alfa. I mean, as a teenager, driving like a freaking maniac because nobody was up there doing the beach run, in the fog. I mean, that's what we do. I'm trying to get my wife to understand that. Honey, that's just what we do. But getting him on the track, he's already really, really noticing, our friends had 2 different carts. One had a 3 carrier rear axle and one had a 2 carrier rear axle. So the bearing carriers. And there's a big difference in the stiffness of the chassis. The 3 carrier is better for a heavier adult, because it has that extra support, but you want the flex when you're coming into the corners. And he started to notice all that. Like the first day he was driving, he really started to notice all that. So when he gets in a car, I'm hoping that translates to, hey, this doesn't handle so well, so back off a bit.
Yeah.
Just remind him, like, his car doesn't handle like a go-kart.
Exactly. Well, it kind of does, but.
Hey guys, before we wrap it up this week, did either of you see the SkyDrive flying car out of Japan that they were testing this week?
I did not see that. No.
Okay. Well,
I'm
first of
missing
all, I want to say that our idea of a flying car, it's I imagine like, a car that you would drive, wings would come out and you would fly. That's what flying cars originally were conceptualized as.
Now we have drone cars.
Well, that's what this is. It's basically a drone. They call it a flying car, and it's got like a little fuselage for one person, 4 drone motors on it.
Wow.
And they were testing it, and they had like certification people there in a cement area with all this fencing around it. And all it did was go up 6 feet in the air, kind of pivot around, fly around, pivot back, and land. And they said, oh, it's a successful test flight. And I mean, when you think of how far it's got to go, I mean, it's got a loop roll bar. And when you think of like our regulations for flight and like that, that's not, there's never going to be an open fuselage. There's never going to be anything with propellers that don't have something around them. But they're saying there's 100 companies that are currently actively trying to build flying cars. That scares the hell out of me because people don't know how to drive very well, let alone fly around. I'm going to have guys landing on my house and crashing and burning if they're going to hit my boat just driving a Tacoma, man.
I just saw a picture of that thing. It's actually pretty cool looking.
Oh, it's very cool.
Oh, they're gorgeous. There's some cool stuff out there, man. But the same thing, it's like, what's the real world application and how's that going to be? Because everything's going to have to change, the way we do everything to accommodate it,
Well, think of a flying car up where you live, Aaron. I mean,
it won't work.
All the trees, all the weather, all the,
won't work.
It's like,
I mean, we're going to have to get rid of telephone lines. We're going to have to get rid of anything that would interfere. I mean, their avoidances, I know my drone avoidances are more of a suggestion. It's like, oh, there's a tree there. I know. Oh, I was just telling you when I ran into it.
I'm sorry. People aren't responsible enough to be just given the keys to something like that. There's a lot of people that shouldn't be driving hypercars.
What they're saying, the drones too are going to be autonomous. I know someone was telling me about some Uber thing that they were starting to build in Fort Ord, that they're buying up all the properties, and those were completely autonomous. So, I mean, having an autonomous system, that works, but still, I mean, hey,
we'll see. We're still far away from that. Somebody again in a Tesla had their autopilot whatever feature on watching a movie and crashed into another car. But you're gonna love this. Not just crashed into another car. The other car that he crashed into was a cop car that hit another cop car in front of it. And the 2 cops were like literally just standing, like drinking a coffee, eating a donut in front of the car. They got hit, but just bumped a little. It wasn't very fast. And they're like, what's up, bro? He's like, yeah, my bad. I was watching a movie in a Tesla. And he's like, you're not supposed to do that. And of course it's all over the news, but
was he watching Fast and Furious?
I sure hope
Crazy world. He's watching iRobot.
Yeah, right. He's watching iRobot.
Speaking of Tesla, as we record this today, Elon is doing a public display of his Neuralink project. Have you guys heard of that?
Oh, boy. I heard about that.
He's got a company that he's been building for 10 years. He says they are going to do a live demonstration that you put this cap on and it will read your mind. And
enhance your brain with our product. Be part of the link. Be part of the system. That's every horror movie preview.
The thing is that we can't let this happen. People won't need podcasts because they'll just be able to read what Matt and I and Aaron are thinking.
Yeah, but as soon as you put that thing on your head, it's going to say you can save an extra 15% on Geico.
Can we download the episodes into people's brains?
Yeah.
You know, just,
yeah, but you have to do it before
I
October
get that
7th.
information. Hold on.
there you go, download.
Okay, I'm good. What were we talking about? I know
all right,
everything.
guys. Wrap it up.
Just a minute. I gotta get my download. It won't get on camera. You don't need to see it. You didn't want to see where I was going to put it anyway. So,
Hey, Brad, thanks for posting the video. Those are so fun. I hope that we see more of those. I don't know if I'm not getting the feeds or what, but I've only seen a couple video portions that you
we're
posted.
trying to get caught up on Facebook. We are up to episode 246. This episode that we're recording is 251. Within the next 2 weeks, we'll be caught up to where it goes up with the show each week. And everybody, don't forget that we are also posting these on our YouTube channel. So you can go there, see the shows, and see all of our previous videos that we put up there. We got quite a few. So go there, and and did you guys see the cars near shift and steer that I put up today?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
That thing screamed past me on the freeway, and it looked like a remember Prism tape?
Yeah.
That's what it reminded me of.
I know there's some ugly ass raps.
Yeah.
So I shared the last one, Brad, and it's
cool.
It's getting a few more views for you. So
nice. So yeah, we're trying to make it available in more places, so you can see it on our website, on Facebook, and on YouTube now. So
it's really fun, folks, and those of you that don't know us, I know when I watch podcasts that I've been listening to for years, it's like I'm so used to the voices that the faces don't match, and I'm like, what? That's not how I envisioned them. So if you're one of those people, definitely watch the video, because we're all that's it. We all really have fun, and there's definitely more character to the voice when you get to see it. I know I enjoy it on my podcast, so definitely tune into YouTube and Facebook and watch them, because as you get more interested, maybe we'll do some more fun stuff too.
Cool. Matt, where can they find us online and all this stuff?
I have no idea. There's too many places now. We're everywhere. We're everywhere.
.com.
Shiftandsteer.com, yes. And
YouTube.
we got the YouTube channel, and we've got the social media at Shift Steer Media. So follow us at all of those places. You can follow me at Moderator as well.
Follow me at Bradley_Fanshaw on Instagram. That's where I put most of my stuff up, so check it out. And Aaron, what about you?
I'm just Aaron Hagar all over the web, and my website is theRatRunnersGarage.com. And but we're pretty easy to find.
Hey, and everybody, you can't see us at SEMA this year, so tune in here every week.
Thanks, you should do a virtual SEMA.
Yeah, we'll virtual SEMA week. We'll do one, and we'll just talk to people and do stuff like that.
Yeah, talk about some products, and I think it's a good idea.
Some people that don't show up.
Yeah.
That happens every year anyway. They get stuck, they're late.
We'll just have a cardboard cut out of them, ask it some questions.
Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.